Still see Aiden.
Yeah, I saw that too. There's always that it says we're live now, but it's not. It's still showing Aiden. There's always 45 seconds of whatever happens after you click go live.
And the commercial's gonna come in anyway. So.
Do you guys ever run your commercial on purpose right when you go live? Have you heard people doing that? If you run it right away, before anybody even comes in, when other people come in because you've already run it, they won't have to see it.
Oh wow!
But we never do that. We never think as DJs like let me run a commercial. You know?
No. Yeah, smart.
There we go.
Again, these like PhDs in Twitch. These pretty paradigms that we're used to operating for sure.
Was that Sean?
Yeah, that audio was weird.
Crunchy. Yeah.
Yeah, the audio on Sean is like really.
Yeah, your audio is crunching out now. And please tell me if mine is too.
No, I didn't hear him say what the, but I definitely read his lips.
Let's see.
Yeah, I can hear you all from I can only see you all.
Oh, jeez.
His audio's. Your audio was good.
Oh, yeah, man. His audio is like failing now.
It froze with the thumbs down.
What's up, everybody who's tuning into the channel right now? We're just getting started. We're doing a live taping of the 9 at 9 podcast. So just hang out for a little bit, grab a drink. Make sure to let everybody know that the Beat Refinery is live right now. We're doing the 9 at 9. DJ Hefe, what up?
What's up, man?
If you guys haven't done so, make sure to host the stream. We'll really appreciate it. We're having some a little bit of technical difficulties here, but we'll get it fixed right before we start the show. We'll probably start showing in about 15 minutes or so. Just waiting for everybody to come in.
Gee, we're looking pretty good so far. To where as long as we've got everybody set up, we should start running.
Yeah, true.
Hey, there Sean.
Darth Vader, what's up? What's
up, Vader?
Well, that's good, Brandon.
Is that coming from Sean still? Like that glitchy crunchiness?
Yeah.
Stop eating, man. How's everybody doing for this past weekend? Did everybody DJ in real life?
In real life?
Yes. Yeah. IRL gigs.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. My no sleep this weekend for me, man. No sleep.
Oh, nice.
Lots of weddings this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Massachusetts, we went from COVID was the worst thing that's ever happened in history of mankind to COVID doesn't exist within like a snap of a finger. So,
Instantly.
I'm in California right now. It definitely doesn't look like the pandemic was happened over here. they're ready to party. They're ready to just do things. I've seen a lot of people not wear masks.
Gio, let me ask you this: is that natural sunlight behind you?
That's it's sunlight.
That's natural sunlight. Okay. I think we're on studios. We're on the East Coast, or wherever we're on. It's studios.
I know. It's like 6 o'clock over here right now. So, I still got the sun.
Is it still like 110 degrees out there, or is it cooled off a bit?
No, San Francisco was like cold. It was like 50s to 60s, but then we drove down to Santa Cruz. It's like 70 something right now. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
But it's gonna get warmer as we make our way down to LA.
It was even 90s here this week.
Oh, dude, scorcher! What a scorcher of a weekend.
That's why wifey and I left, man.
Yeah,
we left that hot human weather in the East Coast.
Heat. that mid-Atlantic humidity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
that'll test your MacBook Pro's fans.
Oh
yes,
make sure it's clean.
Been tested last week at a gig Chris sent me to, man. And it's like you know what really happens is the audio starts to gargle. It's like, and you're like, no. You want to hug the laptop, then you're like, no, that's gonna put more heat on it.
You start fanning it with stuff.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I think in 2018, when I got a MacBook with the Touch Glide, I realized that it was just not built like the 2012s and 14s that could take a ton of heat from the sun, and like my other ones had never had an issue, and this brand new like $4,500 MacBooks like gets 82 and it's like, and the hack for it is you now with Serato Play, as long as you have an RCA to 1/8 inch in your mixer, you can actually unplug your Serato, the DVS, and just use, you have to DJ an internal, but it will bring the temperature of your MacBook down for a little bit, and you can kind of go back and forth if you want, and at least
awful.
But it's like, it's not a fun situation no matter what.
Yeah, Apple kind of threw us under the bus after 2015. There was no more like concern for it became the prosumer, the vlogger, the creative developer, and people who really used it as a powerhouse machine were just left going, guys, you took away my ports, you took away my heat sink. Like, how am I going to use this in a professional environment? Like, I'm not blogging about dogs in the park. Like, come on. But you get 8 hours of battery life, not with the apps I use.
Not when you have a hard drive connected.
Right, that too.
Yeah, and then it's always fun when the touch bar just dies and you have to restart your computer or nothing works. So,
no!
Oh, that's never happened to me. Oh,
no, that doesn't sound like something I'd like to happen to me though.
Yeah, if you get like an overcurrent on one of the USBs, the USB port is tied to the touch bar, the power to it, so it'll kill the touch bar, and then that'll kill. Sometimes your Wi-Fi will go out. Just like stuff just won't like reconnect when you plug it into USB. The only thing that'll fix it is a restart.
Wow.
And it's like, damn, that's a not a fun situation to be in.
Hard way.
Oh yeah.
And so I every time I see somebody usually on Twitter, a DJ will say, today's the day to back up your backups to your backup and your backup. And you're like, oh, yeah, thank you for that. Today's a good day for that. You just never know.
Every day's a good day for backing up your stuff.
Always.
I keep telling myself I'm going to put this thing in place where it's automatically, like when I move music to, because I do my crates in folders. That way, if anything ever happens, I just redrop the folders and all my crates are there. And I keep telling myself I want like a system where if I drop the stuff in, it automatically makes a duplicate and then puts it on the cloud. And then, Twitch happened. And instead of doing things that was productive for my DJ brand, I started messing around on here. So yay for that. But you know what I did do? That first weekend, man, my computer almost shut down twice because I do video everywhere. And that's another load on top of what you're doing. So I'm doing video plus running jam text. And that shit had my bar like in the green, peak in the yellow, and I'm literally like fanning it. I go to the manager, I'm like, get me a fan. He's like, come on, dude, it's not that hot. I'm like, it's not for me. I'm like, it's for my damn computer. And then I got home, took the back off, and there was some sizable dust bunnies in there. So I suggest everybody take the back off, get a can of air, spray it out, and it does make a difference.
Tech tips from Joshua Carl, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Once again, folks, if you're just tuning in right now to the channel, man, we're welcome to the I guess the tech nerd talk for all things DJ.
Talk nerdy to me.
That's all I do.
No, but everybody logging in right now into the channel. We're gonna do a live taping of the 9 at 9 show. So again, we're probably gonna start in about 5 minutes. I think we got everybody situated here.
Yeah.
So make sure to say what's up, everybody in the chat. Make sure to say what's up to us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. This is
Lyrics to Rhythm in the house. What's up, Lyrics?
Yes. Shouts to the chat.
That's the homie right there, man.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Romero. What up?
Yes.
DJ
right
3
on time.
PM.
Right on time. Jeff, are you good too? Everything's working on your end since you switched over?
Yeah, I mean, does it sound fine?
Yeah, you sound good.
Sound lovely.
Oh, good.
Hey yo, what's up, Ayo? Ayo in the building.
Yo.
Nice. Lot of.
How's my audio coming through? I'm not getting any of those warnings now. It's
No, you're good.
Great,
Better.
Whatever.
Yeah, Art,
Nice,
you got
okay.
nice and crispy. I don't know what you
Yeah.
did, but you
cleaned up.
Sweet.
You cleaned up nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Shouts out to
It's not
iPhones.
even my wedding attire, but I'll take it. Yeah.
I think
What's up,
I think
Jeff?
Lee logged off of like Netflix or something.
Yeah. She runs the house. We know. Hey, my wife runs the house too. I'm
she
not
dresses.
fronting.
Yeah, she dresses me. It's all good. It's one less thing I
My
get.
dog runs the house. We just live here.
You used to live here.
We've got a fun show tonight, everybody. And if you're tuning in from the New England, Boston, Connecticut area, please let us know because this is a show for you guys, man. We're celebrating Boston, and it's thick history in the culture, and with some of the serious, heavy hitters of the area, people that are in the trenches and have been doing it for a long time. So if you're in the area, show them some love, and if you're just going to be learning about them, stick around because this is a great cast of characters that we get to talk about the city of Boston with our very special guest host. We got a special guest host.
Yeah, we got Doc Blust is not here, so
Yeah, we upgraded.
We had to upgrade.
Oh no. Doc, don't listen to
This is
that.
the
Don't listen to that.
3.0.
So
But speaking of Boston, man. Well, like we're all the Celtics fans, man. Like, how what does everybody think of the new coach? Anybody? Any sports fans? Celtics fans in the chat?
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just talking
We're gonna
about
spend
it
2 hours
today.
talking about the Celtics if we go down that road.
What'd you say?
He said we'll end up spending 2 hours just talking about the Celtics.
Oh,
You'll lose me on that one, but I'm sure everybody else can hold it down.
If it all fails, man. If we run out of like things to talk about, we'll talk about the Celtics. I'm all for it.
What's good, bro?
Well, we'll definitely have to talk a little bit about sports in Boston for sure because it's
I mean, it's definitely married to the city. The sports fans in Boston, everybody knows, are very, very loyal.
Yeah,
Loyal's a nice, easy way of putting it. I would choose maybe sinister.
Okay, we'll get into it, but how would you put it?
All right, let's hold on to that thought right there. We need to come back to the sinister nature of Boston sports fans.
I was like, sinister. Damn, we already diving into politics.
Oh no. All right, Chris, you think we should start soon, or?
Yep, we should do it. Let's go.
All right, everybody in the chat. We're doing a live taping of the 9 at 9 DJ podcast. So if you haven't done so, make sure to click like, comment, subscribe on all of the podcast platforms. Just search for Beat Refinery and subscribe to the podcast. But let's go ahead and start. So here we go in 3, 2, 1.
It's an ill mind that's still time build and refine. Still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Build and refine, build and refine, build and refine. Still getting mine in the 9 at 9. Build and refine, still getting mine. Geometrix, 9 at 9. 9 at 9. Stylus Chris. 9 at 9, DJ as 1. 9 at 9, 9 at 9 at 9. Don't touch the dial, you heard?
What's good? What's good, everybody? DJ Geometrix here, and we're back with a new episode of the 9 at 9 DJ podcast, the online show with 9 DJs on a roundtable panel discussing today's DJ topics. This show is brought to you by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. Learn how to mix, scratch, and make music by visiting beatrefinery.com. We have school locations nationwide. And it's definitely time for episode number 30. We're streaming live right now on Twitch. Can't believe we've done 30 episodes.
30,
wow.
Bro. Wow.
30, man.
30, yeah.
That's actually a milestone. Now that we're doing this once a month.
Yeah, that's wild, bro.
Anyways, for all the people listening to this episode on the audio podcast, stop by Monday nights, 9 p.m. East Coast time, and join us whenever we do our live shows on the Beat Refinery Twitch channel at twitch.tv/beatrefinery. If you missed any of our previous episodes, you can watch our past shows on facebook.com/beatrefinery or youtube.com/beatrefinery. Of course, if you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, this episode will be uploaded this Thursday to Apple, Spotify, wherever you consume and listen to all things podcast. So make sure to click like, comment, and subscribe. So,
places, bro.
Yeah. On that note, tonight we're back. We're back with another All City edition of the 9 at 9 podcast. So this episode we did a All City episode with Pittsburgh last time. So this time we're gonna do the Boston DJ scene. This is where we basically do a deep dive on a particular city's DJ scene. So definitely we're gonna focus on Boston today, and we've invited a great lineup of guest DJs from that city. So let's get on with the show. As always, let me introduce the rest of my crew, my co-hosts. First up, we got DJ Az1.
What up? We're back. Episode 30. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, we're back. Next up, we have Sean J.
Yeah. 30's the new 20, or so they say.
Definitely.
Nice.
And Doc Blust. As you can see, Doc Blust is not here today, but we do have somebody subbing in for him. So we do have a special guest co-host for this episode. Back with us once again in the show. You've seen him previously, I think last season. But we have DJ JD as our guest co-host for tonight.
Guess who's Bizak?
Yeah. And finally,
welcome back, brother.
Thank you.
By the way, Art, like if you wanna use your sound effects, man, turn it up a little bit. Barely can hear it.
Turn the sound effects up. Okay.
Yeah.
Turn my headphones up, son.
Let's test out sound effect real quick. Give me a jigga.
Jig it.
There you go. That's fine.
Better?
That's actually better. That's better.
Yeah.
There
All right,
we
cool.
go.
I thought he was playing those off his phone.
No. I might be. No.
There's an app for that.
Yeah. We were talking about that. The koala sampler. Super dope.
Koala sampler. That's right.
Super dope.
All right. And I'll go ahead and pass the microphone to Stylus Chris.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Another episode, the 9 at 9. And as Gio said, we have a very special guest co-host, JD, Dawson Entertainment. We felt it was kind of apropos, and maybe things always work out the way they're supposed to, but it was awesome to have JD be able to join us tonight as a co-host, because he spends a lot of time in Boston, in Connecticut, in the whole area there, and he's a friend of ours, friend of the Beat Refinery, and also another educator. He educates, for those of you that don't know, educates Berkeley School of Music. So we've got the love and passion of teaching about the culture of DJing, and with that, we always run it down in alphabetical order. Our very first guest tonight, Revolutionary Clinics, online event, Boomin' Systems, DJ Bobby Bangers, Scratcher Techner, and Pescatarian. What's up, Bobby?
Hold on, guys. How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Fellow Pescatarian, salute.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That was a healthy life.
Yes, sir. Looking like you got a nice setup there. Is that your streaming setup that you're?
Yeah, this is my streaming setup. Yeah, PLXs, Pioneer, S11, some phases, a couple cameras, simple stuff.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, thank you for being here with us today, man. We really appreciate it.
Bro. Clean.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. What's up, AS1?
What's up, brother? What's up? Thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Next up, our next guest is a gentleman that in Boston really doesn't need much introduction. He's been just providing not only entertainment for nightlife people, but also jobs for a lot of DJs, even including myself, who's kind enough to bring me to Boston back 2012. We've got a veteran of the game, and he was a DJ, and it was back in the day a little bit, and he was Selecta JL, reggae extraordinaire.
I like that.
Pasha Entertainment, 617 Productions. You guys probably, if you're in that area, you know him from venues like Rumor Venue District. Now he is Big Night Entertainment Group. Let's give it up for Jeff London.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Very happy to be here tonight. I'm excited.
Yes. Well, we're really just thankful to have you here, man. As I was saying, you're an OG of the city, and I knew long about you way before you knew about me, and so I appreciate you being on the show with us, and look forward to hearing you dropped some insight for
Absolutely.
sure. All right, next up, this gentleman is a 20+ year veteran. And also a U.S. Army veteran. Shout to all of our U.S. Army, all of our military. Big ups. He first started making his name with mixtapes in the early 90s, then in the battle scene in the late 90s. He's an accomplished DJ, remix artist, a gamer, comic book nerd, and as I was saying, an Army combat medic. Official Rain DJ, sponsored by Mix Emergency, Jamtex, and AGI Pro DJ. Let's give it up for Joshua Carl.
Can I get a hold?
Yay! Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
And thank you for being here. Great stream, also by the way today. I enjoyed.
You came in at a weird time. You came in when we were playing games. You didn't get the full flex, but my streamers like to play those games.
That was dope. I actually was very, it was refreshing to see. It was refreshing to just flip on somebody's Twitch channel that you've never seen before, and you see something you've never seen before, and you're like, well, that's interesting, because that's hard to, and today it's hard to do in the Twitch world. Is
for sure.
Like, wow, that was really dope.
Yeah, definitely. And Josh was one of those early Twitch adopters that was so high tech with the tech, with everything. His stream is very, very unique.
I like that high tech.
We didn't have anything else to do
with this one. Josh was showing Craze how to do stuff on Twitch and using Streamlabs. The Stream Decks and all this other stuff. So this guy definitely knows what's up if Craze is asking him for support.
Especially his Discord. Discord, they got a lot of good tips in there. And
that was a
Discord.
moment when I get a message from Craze and I'm just like, am I being punked? Who created? I'm looking for the account to say instead of Craze, Craze space 1 or something, one of my boys. No, it's nice, man. It's always good to give back. That's when you get on this side of the hump, the grays start coming in, you start thinking about grooming. Grooming's probably not the best word. You start thinking about
it's a double entendre.
You start thinking about how can I give back to develop what's coming next, kind of thing. So it was really nice to be in this position.
And that kind of what I think is really dope about Twitch and the world we live in now is I've known of you as a DJ from all your work, radio, and being a guy that's very well known, traveling, hitting up a lot of other cities, definitely a DJ's DJ, but then to never have caught you on Twitch because that universe is so big, and then it's this is why I know this guy, because this guy is always presenting something it's unique, and that's whether it's back in the day, you were one of the first guys I remember adopting Serato video and things like that, and really taking it to another level. So it's, I always appreciate the guys that are on the forefront, cutting edge of things.
Oh, thanks, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry, guys. My internet was tweaking out there.
It's all right. You came back at the perfect time.
Yeah, right. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Born and raised just south of Boston.
I'll be home in like 1 minute. So
cool.
Hopefully, if you lose me before then, I'll be back on quickly.
We're live.
Well, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get your intro in right now. Boston, Fairhaven, Mass. He's been in the game for over 10 years and is the resident DJ at one of the biggest nightclubs in New England, Royale, which is located right in Boston's Theater District. Let's give it up for DJ RM. RM.
Oh yeah.
So we got him in. He's still here. So we've got him in. But thank you guys all for being here. And let's just start by quickly. If you've been, we just said RM's been around for about 10 years. What about guys that have been 20 years now? Is that Bobby? How long? You still 20-year vets here?
I'm in one. Yeah, I'm in the 10-year range.
10-year range, okay.
Yep.
And then anybody hit the 25 mark yet? Are we at the 25 mark?
Getting there. 97, so.
Yeah. Right there, pretty much.
Wow. I'm not 99.
Yeah, I want to say 99 for me as well.
Woo. Yeah,
Awesome.
I was 10 and 99, so I had to wait a little bit longer.
I see how that goes.
I was working on it, though, I swear.
You're earning your stripes.
I think a lot of us, especially the guys that are in that age range, we had turntables long before we had gigs and like actually playing out. There was turntables and there was records being collected, but in terms of getting into like the way it is now, where guys can, I started trying to learn about 2 years ago, and now I'm DJing in the biggest nightclub. That just wasn't a normal process for the older generation of DJs. So it's not to be said, the technology is dope. It changes, and for everybody on this panel, I know we all have embraced the technology. So at that point,
absolutely,
it is what it is, and you can either roll with it or get left. So,
but I do distinctly remember at that starting point when I was in high school, looking at guys like looking at guys that have been around for a long time, like a lot of the OGs that we look up to now, and being like they were at like 15, 20 years at the time, and thinking like, man, that'd be crazy if I am at a point ever where I've been doing this for that long. And I was like, now you look back, it's like, wow.
Here it is.
That's wild. We're here. We're here.
Here we are.
One of the perks of technology was that, like, I think a lot of us, as you get older, you start saying to yourself, I'm not going to be carrying records when I'm 40. And as soon as the carrying records thing was out the gate, we started going, oh, I'm going to do this shit forever because I don't got to carry anything anymore. There's no reason to quit. When I was coming up, there was a couple older guys, and you guys probably had them in your market too, just parked at the dual den on deck with a cigarette and an ashtray, and they're just got their book of CDs
and a mullet.
Yeah, and you're like, this old ass dude. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, that guy was 30. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, but the thing is now it's, true, like now it's not a big deal, or it's commonplace to see somebody over 40, or even some of the obviously the OGs that are in their 50s, they're still doing it. That's not obviously for everybody. They're anomalies, but nobody really seems to have a problem with it. When I was young, you were like, that old guy needs to get out. Like, he doesn't understand. Like,
but a big difference is that guy was still using that book of CDs while we were already in Serato for 5-6 years. That's the problem. That's the difference,
You saw him walking with the book of CDs.
And Josh, you that was spot on. Like, that's exactly, I was going to say that right before you said that, but you nailed it. It's when the technology changed and allowed the human body to not lose to father time, so to speak, in that sense.
So talking trash, bro. I was that guy. I was that guy at 21. No, I'm just this is
he was working on his own.
He went to grab his too. We got CDs, bro.
Yo, I got CD book right over there.
Yes, man. No, this is my my 2000s hip hop Bible CD, like all the CDs from the 2000s, just like a lot of the cool stuff. But yeah,
I don't even know why I still have that. I should throw that out.
It's a good shelf holder. It's shelf placement. It takes up space in the shelf. You know, like man, I could use up that much space. Oh yeah,
it's a whole lot of coasters.
Yeah, exactly. But we have that luxury now, though. As long as you can stay relevant with the music, I think the age thing gets blurred, and all of us, I think, probably carry ourselves somewhat younger than most people our age, just because we're doing things with younger people a lot. We know we need to somewhat at least pretend like we know what's happening and relate to them, because I think when you're called old, that's when it's over, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
But when they're like, "Ah, man, this old ass DJ," but you could be 50 years old, and they're saying this dope ass DJ, and so it's when you start to actually equate the numbers that you get kind of pushed out. So
yeah. Old. I got 200 TikTok followers.
That's 200 more than me.
Same here.
But give us, JD, Josh, Jeff, you guys, the veterans of the city, paint us a little picture of those like late 90s, or even if you can go back even before then. Like I remember just as a novice, but I remember in the early 90s going to see, I think his name was Bruno at the Loft.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And like the after hours joint, like that was, I mean, I was in heaven there. Baby powder on the floor. It was just like, it was dope, really dope.
So I just saw recently that Bruno was doing something somewhere. His health has failed him a little recently. But yeah, he has reunions like every so often. I believe around Thanksgiving. He probably does one during the summer. But yeah, I mean, he's super OG. He had a record shop too called Biscuit Head Records, and at Biscuit Head was the
spot.
That was definitely the spot. Yeah.
Dope. So give us like some of what was happening in those early, right as you guys were starting.
Am I hearing Willie Whistle? What is that? Am I the only one hearing that?
I think I've ever heard one.
It's a dog. It's probably Aswan's dog.
Sean hit it on the head.
I'm like, what am I hearing right now?
Bro.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That sounds all right. So
in the corner, bro, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, guys, I'm so
this
sorry.
is definitely a New England thing, and it's an old New England thing. Early in the mornings, there was a show called Captain Bob, and there was Willie Whistle. Captain Bob was the pre-Bob Ross, and Willie Whistle was this dude that sounded just like that. So I'm like, somebody clowning us with Willie Whistle because we're from New England. Like, I swear to God, if you go on YouTube and watch Willie Whistle, you're gonna hear that and go, "Oh my God, it's the exact same thing."
Wow,
that's a great DJ name.
Oh,
Willie Whistle.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Yeah,
see what happened.
DJ name. Write that one down as one.
What happened during the pandemic was a bunch of people got pets, and they're not parents. All right, I'm a parent with kids. You don't hear any kids making any noise at my studio because they know. And you don't know how to parent to your dog yet, as one. You wouldn't give him that toy.
My kids they're spoiled, man.
You don't know how to be a parent. You got a pandemic puppy.
Well, here's the thing. I'm also his cousins here, and they're both like running around being nuts with each other.
Yo, now that your stream is cleaned up, I realize that he's wearing a Larry Bird shirt.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
Oh, so I actually had to switch this up, man, because
Larry Legend.
Yo, where'd you get that?
Nice.
He stole it from your closet, Gio.
This is a vintage shirt I copped in Thailand at like a flea market. Yeah, dude. It was a couple dollars. I looked at the stitching and I was like, I tried not to get too excited. I was like, oh man, this is actually from the 90s, bro. It's a Salem.
Oh yeah,
Salem shirt. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that brand.
Yep.
But it's definitely not around anymore. And I was like, the guy tried to charge me. I don't know how much it was, but then I talked him down, and it just was like $2 or $3.
He was just like, "Yo, it's a white basketball player. No one cares. Just give it to me."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Before it cleaned up, I had to go. I remembered I had it and I had to put it on for you guys for the show. So here we go.
All right. Respect.
Appreciate you spending
Appreciate
that
that,
$3 on
No
the shirt
problem.
for this episode.
Shout out to the Great White Hope, man.
Right.
Knock it down from
White
$5.
Hope, there it is.
I could talk on some stuff around like the mid 2000s, but I don't know if anybody has anything from before then. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
so that party at the Loft with Bruno was the first time I heard non-commercial dance music, and I didn't know what to make of it. I was just excited to get in because it wasn't like you could just walk up and get in. And then there was another venue called Rise that was shortly after that was members only. But if you knew the right people, or if you were DJ and rubbed the right elbows, you could get in. They'd have passes that you could acquire to get in, but it was like a members only club, and that would go till 7 a.m. So from that like 95 to 2005 era, when dance music was really, really big globally, man, my personal favorite spot was Rise. They had a stack of subs. The room could completely black out because there was no windows. The sound system was amazing. It was tuned in a fashion where the person who did it tuned the amps to put out certain amount of frequencies to the speakers, as opposed to just running, processing. So every speaker was basically running as hot as it possibly can, dialed in with the amp. So I saw like Satoshi Tomi play there, as well as some other like local legends that played there as well. But those were the places that I was just like, this is a lot more than playing bar tunes for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I got real lucky. Like, my ingest into DJing was very, very lucky. I DJ'd a little bit in college. I had a turntable and I played baseball at college, and we used to just put on a box that played music. And I'm like, guys, I can kind of DJ a little bit. And next thing you know, like, people are paying me. And then I was bouncing at this place called the Purple Shamrock, and it was like Roadhouse. Like,
Purple Shamrock.
When you think of Boston, and you've probably seen like the video of the guy getting like his baseball bat out of the trunk and beating up a bunch of dudes, and the bar fights that happen that spill out onto the streets, the Purple Shamrock was kind of like the birthplace of that. And I never really got in a fight though. I'd always I was the talker, so I'd try to talk people down, and then the big guys come, and then the DJ was like, "Yo, I heard you DJ a little bit. I need to take a week off. Can you cover?" Without batting an eyelash. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." And then I was just like, I have like 30 records. What am I going to do? So as I called him, like, "Yo, can I borrow your records?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I got like 30 records, and 20 of them are rectangles. So I don't know what I can throw on this electro break for a few times.
Scratch for a whole hour."
So
tones and shit.
but that, like, it was, it was blind luck. The owner happened to come in, and I'm playing some cheesy shit, and he loved it, and he's like, "I want to give you Fridays," and I'm just like, okay. And since then, man, I've been DJing like at least 2 to 5 nights a week ever since. So blind, stupid luck,
Wow.
But that scene was different, man.
Is the mother of invention, though. Like, that probably, if anything, sharpened your skills in reading the room a lot better, even though you were doing it as a bouncer. That makes a lot of sense.
I think around that time too, there was this early 2000s. In terms of the music, they were started since Boston is such a big college, hundreds of colleges in the area. A lot of international kids started coming here. So you're getting kids from the Middle East, you're getting kids from Europe. So they started in these international nights, M80 and Rumor and things like that, where you had kids who had a different take on what I thought, what was popular here versus what was popular for them at home. So you had this huge take on these international nights with, different house DJs and different styles of house music, which really took off, and they still to this day.
Do you remember Pravda and Rafi?
Of course, yeah.
That was. I didn't know what that was until I walked in there one night. It was like you said, Middle Eastern, Southern Europe, and music I've never heard in my life. I actually got to know. We lost Rafi a couple years ago, but I got to know him, and I got to know him because I'm like, what is this damn music you're playing? I've never heard anything like this before. And it's vinyl, so it's not like Spotify or Shazam it, go get it, listen to it. It was just, you literally had to fight your way into the booth and maybe Jedi mind trick your way through somebody, be like, oh yeah, that's my boy. I just gotta, blah, blah, blah. Or the old wear the headphones around your neck and maybe you can sneak in, and went up to the booth and was like, hey man, I'm Josh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know any of this music. I love it, And he was just, he's an older guy. He's a couple years older than me. And he's just like, hey man, he's like, yeah, you can kick it back here. I don't care. I didn't know he was like working at another record store. And then fast forward to 2000, I end up becoming a buyer at his record store. So it's it's crazy how that works.
And on the other end, I think in Boston being so diverse and stuff, you had definitely your hip hop clubs as well. And so you had the international, you had what Josh said, the kind of like bar scene, top 40 music, and then you had hip hop nights as well. So it was really eclectic. And then, it was a crazy scene. I mean, still it was a great scene, but yeah, it was a very diverse scene back then.
And I remember.
Is there like certain neighborhoods where the hip hop clubs are at, or in the international ones, and of course the bar scene?
So the bar scene, there's definitely in that time it was like, I think that like probably every major city has. It's just like, we call it, what was Faneuil Hall or that area, and it was just loaded with bars. So like streets that just have like bars on top of bars on top of bars. Nightclubs were, kind of spread out. Theater district, there was one area that had more clubs, but it was kind of spread out for nightclubs. They were more of destination spots as opposed to the bar things. You could definitely just go and run through like 10 bars. Clubs, I think it was more destination. If you were going to, I want to go to a hip hop night, I want to go to an international night, I want to see Tiesto at Avalon or something like that. It was more of you go into one club and that's it.
Yeah, I definitely remember, I think if any of you guys have spent time in DC, you know that DC and Boston have a lot of similarities as cities because they're rooted in like colonial politics, and they're tied in that American Revolution, but they're also really transient cities. With both Boston and DC are probably the cities with the most universities per square miles, and so you have these waves. Just Jeff, and I'm glad you touched on it early because that was one of the questions we were going to ask you is, could you really imagine the city being as thriving and as vibrant as it was without the colleges? Because I know in DC, when the college kids leave, and you're a promoter and you're a host and you're on that kind of the business side of that, as opposed to where DJs, a lot of times DJs show up, they just get their check and they're off to their next thing, where you're, really you need to see it at a wider vision. And, here comes July, August, it's just like, you can feel really like the wind is sucked out of the city. And how's that in Boston?
I think it's two different things. I think, obviously those international nights suffer. But I also think there's also an influx of people visiting the city in the summer. If you're choosing to go visit Boston, December is not the best time to go visit Boston. You want to go somewhere warm, So I think we do get an influx of people in the summer. So it's great to have,
makes sense.
Touristy, but there's definitely, all the kids go home. It's an absurd number of people that are 20, like how the city expands. It's like, I think it's almost by like 500,000 or something, crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
The other thing that happens in the summer too is we get this weird split where a lot of people go to the Cape and the islands, but then a lot of people from the suburbs of like up to Revere, out west of Framingham, and down south where I'm at, they start going into the city more because I know the city's a little less saturated with students, so they're more apt to like go into a city on a Saturday night in say June than September when the city's in full swing.
Yeah.
So there's a question right there. Does that change the sound of the clubs and the bars when that transient side flips, when all the people from outside of the city are coming in because the college kids are gone?
RM really has his finger on the pulse of that because his two residencies are both bookend that situation. So I think he'd be the dude to kind of touch on that. Oh, we got no audio.
You're muted.
Uh-oh.
Or
You can't hear me. You're muted.
There we go. Now we got you.
We get you?
Did we? No, we
No,
don't.
we don't got him.
No.
Oh, never mind. Never mind.
You're muted. We can't hear you. We got no audio at all.
There's like no audio at all.
Yeah, there's nothing coming through at all.
He's not muted on the StreamYard side, but
No.
Maybe he muted it on.
Maybe just no microphone selected on the mic settings.
How many things has he said so far that we didn't hear?
Right.
I know.
Oh,
Now, really quick, while he was working on that, I was going to mention. Jeff brought up Avalon, which is obviously like an epic club. I never actually got to. I never really got to attend a club night at Avalon, but I do remember when I was first starting out in the late '90s, they would broadcast live from Avalon on WFNX, which was the rock station at the time. That's
It
what
was called Avalon. It was called Avalon.
Yeah, Avalon. Yep.
Avalon.
And WFNX is like a legendary rock station in New England, and they would rebroadcast in Connecticut. They had a different ID in Connecticut, and I remember staying up and listening to that, and it was so cool being a kid not from the city who wanted to be in that environment. It was so cool to like hear that and have that opportunity to engage in that at the time. And that was when Louis DeVito was huge. Like all those New York City Underground CDs were huge. It was a fun time.
It's funny you say that because I used to get out of my spot at like 1:15, and I would literally, no joke, rush to my car so I could catch like the last half hour, 40 minutes. Because up here on FNX, they aired Axis with Tim Ryan, and that was more like Basement Jacks and like some big beat and some trip hop, and you'd always hear like the Armand remixes, like we're talking like 98, 99. So all those like Armand remixes that were huge, Spin Sugar, all that stuff. And just hearing that, and then they'd go to like the live feed with the dude on the mic in the club, and you just hear the crowd just like screaming, and I'm just like, I'm in the fucking Purple Shamrock playing Come On Eileen. I'm in the wrong. That's kind of what drove me, like, and it's funny when I hear somebody else be like, listen to the same things.
Yeah. I think it was Axis, not Avalon, probably. Yeah. But they're part of the same complex.
Avalon. So it was
Avalon,
Axis, Embassy. They were, and what's the other one called? So there was 4 clubs. So Avalon probably.
There's one below Embassy, right? There's like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was Avalon probably hold, I don't know, 2,500 people. You have Access that probably hold like 800, and then some smaller clubs. And you were allowed to walk through all 5 clubs. Every room had something dope. So you I remember like Jess's, Paul Oakenfold in Avalon. Then you have like some dope ass DJ and Axis playing some, like as Josh said. Then you go upstairs, and there was an 80s room, which was dope. And then I think there might have been like maybe a reggae room, or maybe it must have been a hip hop room with DJ Master Millions. I think.
Yeah, Embassy was hip hop a lot of times, and at least on
on
Saturdays. That's where I used to open back in the day.
Yeah.
You guys might remember the first person that brought me to Boston and taught me anything about the city was Tom Mello. If any of you guys remember Mello, and I think he was actually booking DJs at Avalon or for those guys for a while.
He's out in New York.
Yeah, he would be in New York and Boston, and I think you guys all know, but Armand is pretty much from Boston and he's in New York when he became what he was, but he was a guy that I sat around watching DJ as a teenager through Tom and O'Sheen is another. I think O'Sheen was more like Providence, but
he's in Providence, yeah.
But the dance music scene was always, and just eclectic music or whatever you want to call it now, but just forward thinking was always really prevalent in that area. I always appreciated that, and I think seeing that whole set, I remember that setup of all those clubs just boom into one area, and just thinking that was not the norm that you would see in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
All in one.
That's so true.
I didn't go to it, but they even had like a Tiesto like block party one year, and I didn't even hear about it until like 4 years after people were talking about it. Like
4 years after,
like Fenway. Well, it was pre-internet, so it wasn't like you're on Facebook. Oh, where were you? Right. It was more like, oh yeah, I so and so at the Tiesto show behind Fenway, and you're like, say what now? Like the what show? Where? Yeah, Tiesto, like they blocked off the whole road, and I'm like, how did I not hear about this? So
Tiesto did that a lot back then, like because I know in DC he did it at Dream nightclub. They did like a whole block party for Tiesto, but I think for like a couple of years he was doing that in different markets. But that's pretty cool to hear about that.
JD, you opened for him last week, right? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, at Shrine. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Shrine.
I don't remember which thing. They all blend together.
Nice way to come back into it.
Yeah. Segue.
Yeah.
Did you call him old?
I don't know. He still looks good. I mean, for someone who's in his 50s, he's still. Although I did hear someone say that they thought he looked old. I don't think he looks that old, honestly.
He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I literally, my quick story is I saw him last week. I became a club father last week, I think. Yeah. I took a kid to his first show. It was one of my students, and he, the pandemic, he wanted to go to an EDM show, and he asked his parents. They're like, fine, when it's all said and done. And he's like, I want to go to Tiesto. And they were trying to figure out if they were gonna do private booth or private sit up in the private section in VIP and not. And then I was like, dude, if you go your first time, you gotta
experience it.
You gotta get GA, bro. He goes, what's GA? I go, just take a look. Yeah. And then sure enough, he hits me back, and I'm thinking his parents are gonna take him and they're gonna get the private booth, and then they talked me into taking him. So yeah, we were just I was sweating, man. It was nasty. It was nasty, bro. I haven't been in that setting in quite some time, or on that end, but it was a good time.
Let's see if we got RM's audio working now.
You back, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I think we'll be a little bit more successful on this end.
Yeah, and
solid. Sounds good.
And shout out to Little Rock in the chat.
Yes.
And
what up, Little Rock?
Definitely,
Mello, my man.
Definitely. Shout out to
Little Rock,
all the DJs.
Yeah, Geode.
Yeah, Geode subscribed, so thanks for the subscription. And I saw Pete Down, man.
Yeah, man, Pete Down, another
what? Pete Down's in here.
DJ with a lot of edits in most DJs.
Edits,
Seratos, that's for sure.
Darth Vader showing up.
Yeah, so Josh was alluding to right now, Bobby, let's go to you and RM. And RM, let's start with you. You guys are more 10 years in the game, and kind of give us a picture of where you started and how things are and the pulse of what's happening now.
I mean, it really it depends. It depends what. There's a lot of little different pockets. I feel in the city, and it kind of creates the groups of who's working with who, and who almost has no choice but to work with certain people. So then you end up with the guys that play at the hip hop spots, and they kind of work together. Then you got the guys that play a lot of the more open format spots, like me and Josh. We work together, and we work with a group of guys. And I feel that's kind of how the city is right now. I don't know. I mean, they can probably allude a little bit more to if things have shifted in different directions or not. But that's all I've really seen as far as that stuff's gone. That's what you guys are talking about music, when students leave and when students are there. It really depends on the venue and who you're working for, because I mean, at the point I'm at now, I try to only work for certain people or certain places. Once you've been around the city a couple of times, you kind of know who's who and who wants what and which people kind of fit into what you want to do also. You know what I mean? Like Jeff, for example, Jeff has never come up to me one time ever that I played a night for him and asked me to do something that I wasn't already basically doing. I know what Jeff wants, and Jeff knows if I ever go in there, that's what I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring what Jeff's looking for. So it's like you kind of, because of those things and those relationships, once you get to a certain point, it makes it a little bit easier to be like, all right, this is my schedule that I'm making, and it's because of these are the people I want to work for, not just the places I want to work at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. No, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely feel that statement. Yeah, I work with Josh. You know, out of everyone here, you know, Josh and a couple other guys is who I book through. And yeah, RM is right. You know, it's kind of more along the lines of like who you want to work with, you know, and actually what you're exposed to. So yeah, in terms of me and how I got started, I'm a hardcore, you know, turntablist. I'm into blends. I'm into remixing. Yeah, actually, I met when I said earlier, "What's up, As One?" I met DJ As One in the 2016 DMCs.
Nice.
2016. Okay.
2016.
Where was that? Where was that?
I was in New York.
New York?
I think it was Highline. I can't remember exactly.
Oh, Highline Bar. It had to be.
Ballroom.
If you were coming from Boston, I was coming from DC. Like, boop. That's
Yeah. You and I, you advanced. You and I were top 6, and you advanced, and that was an interesting time. I didn't have a 6-minute prepared, but we'll get into that another time.
That's right, dude.
Oh, you came in here with the heat from 2012?
2016.
My bad.
Yo, that's dope, man.
Oh,
Yo,
no, no lie.
mad
As
respect,
one set was fire. As one set was fire. So.
Oh, thanks, man. I honestly, I don't remember what I did, but I'm sure if I go back, I'll think about it. But like, yo, mad respect to anybody that, like, you know, one will step into the arena in this sense, and I'm not saying like, yeah, to be big and bad. It's literally like you're putting yourself out there, and you're displaying your art, because a battle is like for that. It's, you know, a DMC battle. There's no rules in terms of what you can do. Do what you want. It's just heavily based in techniques, right? So with that idea, you know, you're being judged already. You know, so just standing in front of people and saying, judge me for who I, you know, judge me for my mind and my craft. That's already hard. But then all the troopers that are willing to travel to get it, like, yo, respect to y'all.
Yeah, much respect to you as well. And, you know, respect to everyone else in here that's getting it. But yeah, you know, DMC, DJ showcases in the area, you know, started subbing in for some guys. And, you know, the rest is history. I became a staple on a few rosters. So, you know, I'm on a resident at Liberty Hotel. And, yeah, we keep it moving like that.
Where? So you said your first. Where was your first residency? Like where you really felt like you cut your teeth in the club?
Oh man, I think that would be Savor, what's now called Savor. I think it was the old district.
It was, yeah.
I think Jeff or Josh would know more about that.
It's old district. It used to be Trio, then it was District, which our company owned, and then yeah, it became Savor afterwards.
Was that the DJ in the kitchen place?
What?
When it was Trio,
When it was Trio, yeah.
It went Trio 180. It's called 180. Then it's called District, and then it's called Savor now. Yeah, but yeah, the DJ was in it was like a tree house in the kitchen. You couldn't see the dance floor.
Ooh, that's crazy.
I went up in there. They actually have their sound up there now. They have the amplifiers and everything up there. I went up in there and I was like, I don't know how anyone was DJing in here.
Oh, you went up there? Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. But, you know, they switched it up. DJs out on the floor. I think they built a little stage now. But, yeah.
I think, if I remember right, wasn't that when it was Trio, that was a licensing move, not so much a space move. You guys who don't know, Boston has a DJ and dancing like permit that you have to have in your venue. So places, and I've worked in a couple of these myself, like they made me, like, for example, Broadway, when they first started, they made me bring in like a cover, and they're like, can you DJ without your computer? I was like, yeah, if you get me some CDJs, I'll make sets, you know, like, no, we can't have somebody come in here and see you DJing. And I'm like, you can't have both, guys. I can't DJ and not DJ in the same spot. Like, it's either one or the other. And they're like, all right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put up a partition with frosted glass. So when people look, they might be able to see the top of your hat, but that's it. And I'm like, in turn, I can't see anybody because it's frosted glass here.
Yeah.
And then it was funny, the one of the time they got caught, our homie who just moved to Atlanta, Reggie Bees, who's like 6'5", just a big dude. That frosted glass was like at his sternum. And he's back there, headphones on, bopping. ABC comes in. They're like, "You're not supposed to have DJs."
Oh my gosh!
So they had to go and spend the money and get the license. And I think Jeff, you had that at
6 feet tall.
at that spot. I mean, in the theater district there. Didn't they have that for a while? The no dancing.
Oh yeah, we had
loose rules.
What?
We did what they call a cabaret license.
Yes.
They wouldn't let us have they let us have DJs but no dancing. So we had to put signs around the club that said, "Please do not dance." All the DJs. I mean, obviously nobody followed the rules, but it was hilarious.
We tried.
A lot of exposure because everybody would take. And so I'm like, you guys got to brand these signs now because it's like everybody was putting it up on the Instagram or maybe it was before Instagram. I don't know what it was, but I was like, you guys got to brand these signs because like it's hilarious that you have to put up these signs to say no dancing, but if you brand them you get some marketing out of it,
right?
Instead of branding them, and yeah, it was pretty funny.
No dancing, sponsored by Moe.
Oh my god!
Yeah, don't drink it. Don't drink and dance.
Now, remind me, does Boston even on the weekends close at 2? It's at 2
for the most part. Yeah, a lot of places try to duck out before that. Like, they'll start shutting things down at 1:30. Some places go right to 2. And if I understand, Jeff, you probably know this better than I do. A lot of places actually have a license that will go till 3. But you can't serve alcohol after 2. But most places abandoned that whole, like, why stay open after 2? Because what are you left with except for potential problems? Like, so some places execute it on like leap years and the leap year day we have the extra hour, or what do you call it? New Year's Eve, or
holidays,
daylight savings time.
Daylight savings.
Like they'll do that. But I mean, this Boston, they go so hard so fast that by the time 2 o'clock rolls around, you don't want any part of what's going to happen. Just get them out. Just get them out. So you guys probably saw, man, the first weekend we were open, the internet was littered with like Boston at 2 a.m. videos, and it was just fights, girls with their shoes off, walking around screaming at people. It's just quintessential Boston.
We have a wheelchair at one of the clubs. I won't mention which club. And we were back the first week, and I saw over 7 people get wheelchaired out.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I've never seen a wheel. I was like, you guys are awesome.
That first night at Royale was
the last cocktail you can purchase is at 2 a.m. So you're legally allowed to finish your drink, but by 2:05 you have a security on you being like, get out. So, but
I remember, and I got to give a shout out to Hectic, because Hectic was a DJ that I definitely was connected to, and he took my gig down at Rose Bar, and then I took his gig with you at Venue, and I just remember it was so packed, and this one guy just kept buying bottles of champagne for me and just sticking them up in the DJ booth. And, like, and he just, and I was like, I can't drink. There's no way I can drink all this. And then it was like, lights are on, and it was like, everybody get out.
Yeah.
And then you,
they don't
and then
mess
you
around,
walk
man.
onto that street, and it's just
Exodus.
It's just, I mean, people, it's a wave
Another
of people.
party.
They're just coming out, and everybody's just so hammered, and they're just all out in the street. And it was the most bizarre. And I'm like with my DJ bag, like, oh shit, like I gotta get to my hotel. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not from this city.
So many
Jeff just
fights.
put a bunch of money in my pocket. It's
Right.
I think it's
it's scary. It's scary leaving the club in Boston. It's scary.
That's what I
One
was
person
gonna-
recognizes you with the DJ, and then they yell it, and everybody's like I think, Jeff, I think the last time I did Venue for you guys was like a couple years ago. I'm walking out and I have my backpack on. I turn the corner right on Venue, and there's like 500 people just littered in the street. And then she's like, "Oh shit, it's the DJ!" And everybody was like, "Hey!" And I'm like,
and then
You got a target on your back now.
You got that one guy that says, "Hey, you didn't play my song."
Brass knuckles come out. The knuckles come out.
That's when you open up and show your no request shirt.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say that first night, the 29th, after all those restrictions got lifted, it was definitely a lot of crazy emotions to go from and I mean, especially in Mass, we were like at 0 for so long, and then when they finally make the announcement, like they weren't even communicating with any of us, like very little. Then they make this announcement virtually that in 2 weeks life is back to normal, or in like 10 days, whatever it essentially ended up being. Then things rolled downhill so fast. And that first night, I remember being inside Royale and just feeling like I was doing something illegal. Like the whole time I was there, I was like, what I'm doing is like somehow not okay. The place is an absolute zoo. And then Royale is actually one street over from where you were at Venue. So at 2 o'clock, when
I remember this.
Only one hotel, and so you have Venue, then you have Tunnel, which isn't open yet, but then you have Hava, you have Bijou, you have the W, anyone that was in the lounge, you have Royale, all these places let out. And it's literally, it looks like a block party at 2 o'clock. Now that
a block party after the parties?
That night specifically, like every club was at capacity. Every club had lines. People were just outside because they couldn't get in the clubs. So like when I went outside, it was something I had, even being in Boston for a while, it was a scene I had never seen before. It was literally thousands and thousands of people, and they weren't dissipating at all. They were like, we're not going home.
That was actually the line for halal guys.
Wait, you guys have one of those in your club district too?
Oh yeah.
I
You got a New York pizza that kicks most Boston pizza's ass. So
somebody on the chat just said they have a question about the crazy laws.
Yo, Little Rock.
Yeah, post away.
Post your question, man. Let us know.
I'm also curious, while Little Rock's putting his question in the chat, I've heard of this context of this cabaret law thing. When did that stuff started getting enacted in Boston? Because I've only heard of that in the context of New York having this weird little spurt around the time Serato came to the forefront. So I didn't know if it was around the same time in Boston too.
No, it's always been around
it's always been there.
Right.
Okay.
One of the things that happened though was everybody was trying to started double dipping on making money. Like, oh, we can pull the tables and chairs up at 10 o'clock and bring in a DJ and stay open till 2. Like that became more of a thing. Like 95 to 2005, even 2010, a lot of these places would have never have had a DJ because it wasn't easy for somebody to come in with a controller, plop it on a table, jack into their house system and play music for 4 hours. So now that's a thing. Now, like when people are putting in sound systems, they're putting a pair of XLR ports somewhere in the venue and anybody can come in and plug in. So everywhere has a DJ. The band thing in the city is really struggling, like really, really struggling. So everywhere has DJs, and obviously people, especially at that point, 2005, 2010, people were just ignorant, I think, to the laws. They're just like, I've never gotten a fine for having a DJ. We've had a DJ in here before. But when you're doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and we have a thing up here called the ABC, and they make the rounds, and they catch it. They came into one of my venues. It's a tavern. It's a relatively big venue. We were at capacity, like 750 people, and just, great night. And the manager comes up. He's like, we almost just got shut down. I'm like, why? He's like, we're over capacity. I'm like, we're busy, but we're not over capacity. I can tell there's pockets of movement. He's like, they said to me, our capacity listed is for seating, not for standing and dancing. Our dancing capacity is only 300. And it's like, there's no way, because the place can fit almost 1,000 people. So they were just like, listen, we're going to hit you with this. Well, no, they're going to hit you with this unless you grease them or talk to the right person or, toe the line a little tighter or whatever. Yeah. That nobody likes them. Nobody likes them.
No, we have the ABC as well.
Nobody likes them, and they do not like us.
Right. They're annoyed that they are up at 1 a.m. and everybody around them's drunk and they're dead sober. Yeah. And we have the ABC here too, and ours will. even come around with decimal meters.
Yeah.
And they'll, in certain neighborhoods where, there's residential mixed use. And there's going to constantly be that struggle, and probably even more now because they've used this time as a reset to, okay, some of the places that we didn't like, they still made it through the pandemic. So now we're going to try to hit them when they're down.
Now they try to stiff arm them.
Yeah.
We had a spot that kept getting hit for the DB because they had those, like Boston has a lot of places with like the folding glass doors that open up into the street. Okay. So you can have like people dining and the windows open. So the thing with those windows is they're not airtight at all, and they're not, soundproof even a little. And this place got on the ABC's radar in a bad way because a couple of years ago, and I really don't even know what ended up happening to this, maybe you guys know, dudes were literally disappearing from nightclubs, never to be seen or found again. Like people were like saying it would have been like
I started reading some stuff about this, and I fit that description of what the guy was looking for pretty good. So this was like honestly a thing for me. I was like, all right, so 6 foot-ish tall guys, slender build with like, I'm like, all right, with beards.
They're disappearing. They're disappearing.
I could see you haven't even stood yet. I could tell how tall you are. Right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I'm like
this, like you said, and someone yelled the DJ. I was like, all right, listen, I don't want no problems. I'm just trying to get home.
Yeah, so there's all these theories about these people that go missing,
ending up in rivers and stuff.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of those places I was working at.
So who wants to bring me to Boston?
I got the perfect place for you, man.
Sounds like a party. Hey. Sounds like a party, man. Yeah.
But yeah, they came over and they're like, the ABC's here, you need to turn it down. They're like, you need to keep it under like 70 dB. And I'm like, that's what we're talking right now. We're at 70 dB right now.
Yeah.
And I actually pulled out my phone and I had a dB meter on it and I put it in front of my mixer. And she came over and I just went like that. And it was like 95 or something. But it's crazy.
Yeah, I think we have similarities in that sense of DC and the bureaucracies, and everybody is fighting for their power struggle.
It's definitely something to do with that shared space thing when there's any sort of residential anywhere near a place that's got a sound system with subwoofers, and then all it takes is one person to say, oh, my window is shaking, it's got to be too loud, and then ABC shows up and tries to shut things down and give people a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these places have like hotels or even apartment buildings above them. It's like, it's a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, hotels are rough. I've worked in a couple, and one of my residencies now, they put in their thing. There's a nightclub in here. Beware. And most of them, they've never had any issues with it. But there was another spot I had that a hotel upstairs, and on like a Wednesday, they sent their their handyman down because they were owned by the same company. They sent him down, and he took all the subwoofers out and didn't tell anybody. So the manager showed up on Thursday. And they, what's going on with the sound system? It sounds weird. And they couldn't, because the manager wasn't super tech savvy. So he's just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, it must be broken. And then it took him like till Saturday when the DJ was like, yeah, there's usually a subwoofer right here. It's gone. and the hotel didn't even own up for it for like 2 weeks. They were finally like, oh yeah, we took them. It was
That's
like
a big sub for that guy to be moving too. I remember
that is a crappy job for the day.
Yeah, like to move that without getting asked, like it took some effort and energy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any new venues that opened that were never open before the pandemic? Like in DC, there's like 5 or 6 that just popped up, during the pandemic. Like they actually took lease space at the height of it, and we're like, well, by the time we build it out, we'll be ready to go.
Just the one venue with Big Night Live was only open, I don't know, JD, 4 months?
Yeah, 4 or 5 months, yeah.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, that didn't really happen here. More or less, more places were closing and disappearing.
Yeah. Happy that as many places survived as they did. Never mind, opened up new ones.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, that's interesting. Did
have you guys like worked like before everything went 100% capacity? Like
I run a spot in the Cape called Torino. So it's like the only nightclubby spot down there. It holds about 600-ish people. So it goes from that to, with COVID, I could still DJ, but everyone had to be seated. Nobody could dance. The tables had to be 6 feet apart. So now it's like it's the summertime, but now they're only doing the outside because no one's going to come sit down inside to listen to a DJ because it's the temperature. Everyone wants to be outside. That's the whole idea of the Cape out here. So they go from 600 people charging $20 at the door to happy if we get 15 or 20 tables worth of people to stay to listen to the music for a couple of hours. So it's like, yeah, and it's just such a different vibe because now it's like you're trying to get a reaction without getting a reaction. It's like make them happy and keep them entertained and keep them engaged, but don't make them get up and dance. And definitely don't make them bored enough to leave. So
it's the worst position. It's the worst position.
It's like you got to keep them on the edge the whole time. You know what I mean? They're like, all right. Like,
and that basically in turn means you're on the edge because you're like, I want to play this song, but I can't.
You're always one song away. You know what I mean? Like, one song away. And unfortunately, we don't have everyone's Spotify playlist, so we don't really know what these people listen to every day. This is a new set of 15 tables that I have to assess the nods of the heads at each of these tables and see how I'm doing based off of how many heads are still nodding and still even paying attention. Yeah. So I feel like it made me a lot better because you have to like zero in on certain genres and certain styles because once you hit a vein, you got to run with it. You know what I mean? And see how long you can go with it. And when you're playing 3 hours, 3 straight nights without people dancing, having to keep them on that edge, not being able to play the same sets because this is really the only place I'm playing. I'm doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Not going to repeat stuff Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So not only are you on edge, you lose 3 hours of ammo every time you come back.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so it's like, as hard as it was, I feel like it definitely made me way better, like, for now. Now it's like I go up there and it's a joke. It's like, oh, man, you can play anything now. It's like everyone's going to go, you can play Cotton Eye Joe and they're going to lose their mind. You have CO2 and stuff. It's ridiculous.
That's my favorite part.
Have you guys been, Jeff, have the parties really returned hard? And since you guys opened back up, are you able to, kind of see things, feel comfortable, like, all right, we're going in the right direction here?
So I moved companies I didn't work for 15 months. I started a podcast. I'm the promoter. He's a DJ with Jason Smith.
Nice.
What up, Jason?
The homie. So when I did the transition to Big Night, they had a lineup that, a lineup that it was like Tiesto and Loud Luxury and 50 Cent. Just a ridiculous lineup. We have so the parties were beyond what
you guys had. Aoki, Pauly D. Yeah. Have you guys had a night that wasn't sold out yet?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, so
not yet.
He's so nonchalant about it. Like,
we're running
talent. So
that's dope, man. That's awesome.
How many clubs are we running?
We're running Shrine, 3 Scorpion bars, Grand, Memoir. That's what 6 right there. Yeah. 6 major ones, yeah.
And then we're opening Big Night Live next week with this lineup of Louis the Child, Alesso, Deadmau5, Diplo, and Cruella. So
that's crazy.
Wild.
You guys are not familiar, maybe. One of the things that happened here is called Seaport. And 10 years ago, Seaport wasn't a thing. So Boston was this constant, like, this place closes down, somebody else comes in, takes over the liquor license, puts up a new sign, new group of DJs come in, drive it into the ground, flip it over, do it again, flip it over, do it again. And then they started developing Seaport, which was our like waterfront area, which was all warehouses and boating and
shipping, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if there was nothing there, you'd have no reason to go there unless
asphalt.
There was a couple of restaurants. There was Anthony's Pier 4 and there was the World Trade Center. But other than that, and this is a real deep cut, in the 90s, it's where our polyesters was. So if you guys know the chain,
we had one here too.
Yeah, we had definitely had one.
But in the last, say 5 to 10 years, that entire like small town has just done nothing but grow straight up. It's insane.
It really is.
And it's all cutting edge. It's all like very new. You're not going to go over there and, well, I mean, while there probably is a Dunkin' Donuts there, that's probably not. But there's more Starbucks, and you know what I mean. It's not backwards hats and flannels. It's more like polished shoes and a clean cut shirt.
And there had never been on that front. There hadn't been a new nightclub built from the ground up in Boston. I think in something I heard like 40 years maybe.
Yeah.
Before we built the Grand.
Like I said, they kept just turning places over. So when that place literally was like The Sims, just buildings just going up, and like really, really amazing places over there. The Grand is amazing. I saw quite a few guys there. I love it. But the whole place is a destination. And then they pop the casino on the other side of the water. So it's like Boston finally, after decades, was like, if we're going to be a competitive city, we have to start doing some things outside the pocket. And I'm glad, I'm on the latter side of the slide, but I'm glad they're finally doing it,
I'm glad you said that, Josh, because my introduction to being in Boston was, I want to say like 3 years ago, something like that. My wife and I were just trying to find a weekend place to go. We looked at plane tickets from Baltimore. I was like, let's go to check out Boston. Neither of us have ever been. We stayed in Seaport. And so checking into our hotel and then immediately walking outside and let's just take a look around. Went to Scorpion Bar, went to the World Trade Center, and I was like, oh, this is not what I expected out of the city. And then we started going more into like the downtown area where it's much more older part of the city, and it started looking more familiar, like what I expected. And I think there's a big it felt like there was a change of the guard happening when I was there, as far as seeing these new shiny buildings and that Scorpion Bar venue that's really, really nice in there, compared to like the bar scene that seemed like it was very big. So I'm curious, at what point did that change start to really affect, I guess, nightlife as a whole? Because it's obviously new, and like if that's going to be the future direction of how the city changes going forward with that as the new standard, are the bars starting to close as a result of COVID, and then that is going to be the new replacement, these new shiny high rises and bottle service spots?
Well, I think part of it, one of the clubs we owned before the Grand and Scorpion Bar opened was called the Estate, which is right around the corner from Royale, down there, right downtown Boston on the Green. And that was a spot that was actually owned by Emerson College. And they decided they decided they wanted to stop renting it and take it back and build that into dorms or a cafeteria or something. So like some of these spots that have been around for a while have been reclaimed and built into residential apartments, things that are not nightlife oriented, right? So I think that this transition kind of all happened at the same time as these venues being reclaimed that have been around for a while. So the new ones are kind of replacing things that had been fixtures for a long time that are recently gone.
There was another club right literally next door neighbors. You can almost touch both at the same time. That was kind of similar to the Estate, which was another like kind of a big room, a housey, a high energy venue called Whiskey Saigon that was super popular for a long time. Yeah, and that one, coincidentally, they sold right before the pandemic.
Oh wow!
So, and it's crazy because I was talking to somebody that was very closely involved, and they were like, they purchased it. They basically gave, I forget the amount of money, but obviously the school bought them out of the lease. But it's like, in hindsight, if they had waited a couple of months, they would have just been happy to have released the lease.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's pretty crazy the way certain things end up working out. But like you guys are saying, when like they brought in Big Night's obviously built some beautiful venues with Big Night Live, the Grand's beautiful. I mean, that whole Seaport building over there is beautiful. Memoir, And like, but they also, when you lose places like Whiskey Saigon, which that was a staple, like 600, 700, 800 people every night. The Estate, I don't know what their capacity was, but they were at capacity.
Yeah,
so
800 to 1,000, yeah.
There was another bar directly under Whiskey Saigon that was massive. That held a lot of people. So you're talking. You have at least 2,000 students, even in between those clubs in that one little area. 2,000 students that now have to find somewhere else to go, somewhere else to party. So it's like, even with those other clubs right there, there's just a lot. You almost need some of those other clubs. You know what I mean? We have the people for them.
It definitely spread it out, and now we're getting the Fenway. Fenway is getting something too, so that's gonna reinvigorate that area because before Seaport, obviously, like Jeff was talking about, we were all talking about earlier, Avalon. That's not Avalon. It's a House of Blues now, so it's a concert venue, and there's a couple bars and pubs and cool places down there, but there's not that nightclub down there. So that might return. I haven't seen anything to what's going on down there. I'm sure it's probably still under NDA of what's going to go in there, but that's going to be another high tech type place attached to Fenway Park. So that's going to spread it again because when that was called the Alley, where the Estate and was it Sugar Shack and that other spot.
Sweet.
All those spots. Those are all gone.
Yeah.
We lost all of those, and we lost pretty much all the main venues on Lansdowne Street, but we gained all the things in Seaport. So
Saigon survive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard they've gotten a lot of fines over the last like 2 months. So
who's that?
Cask and Flagon.
Yeah, I think a lot of little restaurants have kind of popped up with nightlife things happening as well. Like I've definitely seen a lot of smaller spots just bringing in a DJ on a controller, popping up a speaker or two, and
Bobby, how's
Savoy
doing?
What's that?
How's Savoy doing?
Oh, Savoy. I haven't been down there in quite some time, but it seems like they're doing okay. Yeah, they're still there. They're still chugging along.
Bobby, where are you playing since we came back from the pandemic?
Who's
playing some Edo? Hey!
Oh, there it is.
Who's playing Edo?
Yeah,
that's Boston right there.
Right, that's Boston.
What's up? So yeah, I've been at Liberty. I've been at Alibi, Liberty Hotel, which is so for you guys that don't know what it is, it's just a large hotel down on Charles Street in Boston near the Mass General Hospital. So they have it was an old prison. It was converted into a hotel, and the architecture in there, it's just really really fire. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Yeah,
it's right next to a hospital, so you get too drunk, you just.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in, you're out. All right. Thanks
you borrow a wheelchair.
Thanks for partying and on Charles Street.
Right. There's literally a door, like where we used to DJ. Is literally a door like that leads to the hospital. If the other door were to be open, it'd be inside of the hospital.
Wow. That's funny.
That is a very interesting.
What are you doing after your gig? Oh, I'm getting a ACL replacement.
Getting an IV.
I'm going to get my IV because I gotta do something tomorrow.
Gotta get an IV to sober up.
Yeah. Yo, the place is so haunted, right? It's haunted, crazy haunted.
Liberty?
And yes.
Damn, you gotta stop looking.
And then
you to a haunted house. Huh?
If you what's the movie set in Boston with the two Irish brothers?
Every Boston movie.
Every Boston.
Good Hunting. What?
No, the one with
You knocked a bunch of them off the list by starting
with Leo DiCaprio.
No, not with Leo. Oh my God, I always forget the name of it. They turn into mercenaries.
Got to be a Wahlberg. There's got to be a Wahlberg.
No Wahlbergs. It's actually Boondock Saints. Thank you.
Boondock Saints.
So the scene where their dad is being held, like in the he's got all the ropes on him and shit. That's actually where we DJ. So if you go to watch that movie again and you're like, this prison is dank as hell, that's right where we DJ. That's called the Yard. And the Yard is now the lobby. And it's like a 6-story vaulted ceiling with mezzanines that go all the way up on the outside. It's a pretty cool place. Like I've had the account for like 5 years, so sometimes I kind of forget what it is until I see somebody see it for the first time, and they're like, "This place is crazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess it kind of is." Sleep with the lights on.
I would like a chance to play some Gravediggers records there in the dark by myself. It's like, and just go nuts, man. Like,
but Bobby actually held that down during the pandemic for me.
Bobby seems to like it. He's got a smile. He's like, man, I like it. I love it there.
It's a fun room. Like,
it sounds dope.
And one of the most important aspects of it, and you guys know this, is the relationship we have with the staff and management is really, really good. Like, they're excited to see us. They're like, you know, they're very forward with how much they like the guys that we put in there.
That matters.
It does. It really does.
Oh yeah, there's venues I've definitely worked at.
It matters.
You know, when you're starting out and you don't have enough clientele or you're not in enough circles to have a busy enough schedule, or if you're doing it for a living, and it's like you kind of got to make sure your Fridays and Saturdays are filled. You can't pick and choose as much if you're not as busy. And I've definitely worked for some places that you don't get as much respect as you kind of should, and even sometimes in the bare minimums. I've worked at some places. There's places in the city of Boston that I won't work at anymore. I'll keep that to myself. I was right there. I was right on that I was talking about earlier. You know what I mean? I was right there, but you know, it's just at the end of the day, we're all out here trying to do a job. I mean, like as one said earlier, like as we're playing, like we're putting like what we feel. Like you think of DJs out there playing music, they don't want people to have a great time and dance.
Yeah.
Like I would hope that everyone's doing their best to try to read the room to the best of their ability, to try to make people dance and try to make people react and sing and do all those things, because that's what, at least on my end, like I don't care what I'm playing if the crowd is singing and dancing and jumping around and reacting. You know what I mean? So there's definitely some places in the city that when you walk in, you get that reaction because the staff cares too. You know what I mean? They're like,
yes.
We have a good night tonight. Oh man, I saw you on the schedule earlier, and I knew tonight was going to be fire. You know what I mean? It's like you get that energy when you walk in the door. That makes you want to like, yo, I got to bring my A game. Like,
go hard in the paint. Yeah.
Well, I can't half-ass anything tonight.
That's so much better than the other Boston greeting that you often get is, "Hey man, how you doing? No hip hop."
Yeah,
that's a universal nightclub.
You know,
yeah,
that's very universal.
I think
I had a venue that was saying that to DJs recently, and
they all do though. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and I literally went up to the guy because he was a new manager, and I was there through the owners, and I'm the one running the entertainment. So like, I'm sending DJs there, and I'm getting these text messages of, yo, the owner just said this to me, the manager just said this to me. And I'm like, they never say anything to me when I'm there. Like, it's only when other people. Then I got this text a couple of times in a row, and I go up to him, and I'm like, do you know what hip-hop is? Like, do you know what hip-hop is? I know you don't want a certain sound in your club, maybe a certain genre, but do you genuinely know what hip-hop is? Like, do you know what Drake and Travis Scott are? Do you know who those people are? Because it's like, you go up to a DJ and say don't play hip hop.
That's a big.
You say that to the wrong DJ. You know what I mean? It's like you're not hearing a lot of the top 40 lists too. Right. So you just can't just go around and say don't play hip hop without also understanding that you're affecting the night in a negative way if depending on who you're saying that to.
Well, now you can just say, "Oh, I play top 40" because the top 40 is all hip hop songs.
It's all hip hop.
Yeah,
anyway,
Yo, I literally
now, yeah.
No lie, no exaggeration whatsoever. Some of the guys in the chat know I did this. Someone told me no hip hop, and I was like, "Well, we can still play blah blah blah." They're like, "No, none." And I'm like, "All right." Went home, printed out the Billboard Top 40, and crossed out everything that was remotely hip hop. And I was like, aside from the 5 ballads, the 3 songs you want me to play are a country song, Ariana Grande, and some other boy band. So I can play these 4 songs on repeat all night. Is that what we're doing? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, you hired me because
I'm not smart enough to do that. I wish I was smart enough to do that one. That's a good one.
Well, the thing is, I had a good relationship with the guy before. and I knew that I just needed to give him like the shot in the jet and the hip to be like, dude, listen to me, trust me. Like, I'm your boy. I'm not gonna. I know this is your place. I know you got money. I'm not gonna come in here and do a trap set. You know, like you hired me. You have the trust in me. Let me do it. You don't go to your bartenders and be like, hey, don't serve that. Don't serve that. No. Put that back. So why are you gonna do that to me?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like we know we can't play 4 Meek Mill songs in a row. We know, we know that's not allowed because you know what I mean. You know what you're doing when you start going down these different alleys.
Yeah,
So
you can feel
the
it.
style; it's the energy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you can feel it.
You would hope that you hire guys that are going to manage that and pay attention to that and are able to sprinkle. You know what I mean, and do what they got to do, especially with things like are on the top 40 list, where it's like you got to play this stuff. Like even if it's some of it or a piece of it or a remix or something, like you can't just say no this, no that. It's like it's not that easy.
And you can't say you haven't seen plenty of fights breaking out in the middle of an EDM set either. Like let's
Exactly.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of
they don't get it. They don't.
In the bar from Roadhouse, they played nothing but country. Look, there was nothing but fights in there. Patrick Swayze almost got killed.
I was just gonna say, when you had 40 records and 20 of them and you were causing fights over there with baseball bats, you were playing some rough stuff.
Hey, R&B causes way more fights than hip hop, man.
Yeah.
Because it's usually like some dudes like sees a girl movies like tries to move over and then it's another like that's my girl.
Yeah.
And you know,
I don't care who this is. Oh yeah.
see, and that's probably what
nightclubs don't work too well. So we got to have the girls there. You know what I mean? They cause a lot of the fights, but they got to be there.
that's probably what Usher meant to say.
I wouldn't go.
T-Pain, Gio,
They were
because it was T-Pain's "Buy You a Drink" song.
I can
that
hang out with
started
you
a lot
dudes
of
on the
fights.
internet.
Not a drink. Drink.
And you know, I want to ask Jeff because you know we know from what you guys are saying, just some of the the struggles, but you guys are lucky. Jeff here is kind of been around a long time, understands the music, understands the culture. Are there other management companies, ownership that kind of get it the way you get it and are plugged in, like with these guys? Like you're doing podcasts with DJs. You used to be a DJ. So are some of the other guys like you in town as well, or are you more unicorn to that?
Can I cut in? No, Jeff is a complete anomaly. He is one of a kind. And I don't mean to blow up your spot, but he really is. There's not too many people like him, in the city.
I appreciate that.
And Jeff pays attention, and he gives a shit. And I always loved that about him. I remember one time I was at Kiara on a Sunday. Unfortunately, I can't remember his name, but I remember it was Lupe Fiasco's DJ. He was playing, so he got added super late, so I ended up opening up for him. And I remember he was doing a transition between 2 Faded songs, and me and Jeff were sitting there having a drink, and he slapped me on the arm, and he goes, "That's something you would do." And I'm like, this dude actually pays attention. Like when people are DJing, like, oh, this guy does wordplay. This guy does this. You know what I mean? And I remember looking at him like, all right, he gives a shit. All right, you know what I mean? Like he actually does pay attention. Good, because I don't know if anyone else is.
We're on the other end. We were just talking about this the other day, I think, on the podcast, that I have taken a headliner off of DJ and put the opener back on before too. Because it's
wow. You want to give the name? Are we here for it?
Put it in the private chat. Put it in the private chat.
I think, I'll put it this way. I think it was a scam artist too.
Narrowing it down.
That was a real scam.
Yeah, we'll call Suge it up after. But as you guys know, it's the most important thing. It's service in music. It is, and these people have 3 hours to have a night, and you have to have good service. You have to have good music. And then the other things come in there, lighting and everything like that. But you can make a room, any room, if you have good service and good music, you can make any party pop. And, the extras of places that I work at, like the Grand, beautiful places, and aesthetics and CO2, everything like that, that's great. That's extra. You have to have good music and good service, and that's all you need to be
the foundation.
Absolutely.
That's what's up.
100%.
How do you guys feel just on a whole? And you can, I want everybody to kind of take this quickly and, like 10 seconds and pass. But how is the DJ scene in Boston? Are you guys connected? Is it like friendly, or is there a lot of pockets of cliques, or is
you guys secretly
unified?
hate each other behind the scenes?
Maybe not you guys, but on the whole, let's start with JD, just because you're kind of like in the city a little bit and all over the place.
I think kind of like RM was saying, like each kind of genre or there are pockets for sure. I think there's lots of people who do get along within the pockets. But each kind of pocket does kind of represent their own set of venues and things like that. But I think generally, it's a good environment. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh?
Yeah, totally. So much so that I made it a thing about 10 or 15 years ago not to affiliate with any particular group or a group at all. Like I love Jeff and Ace and Frankie and those guys. I've worked with them a few times. I've worked with JD a few times. I've worked with RM. I've worked with other guys, and I have a genuine love for the craft, which I think we all do, and I want to expose myself. I want to expose myself.
It's a family show.
No, this family show.
Clip it. To as many different, the more I see other DJs, the more I get inspired, and not in a biting sense, but just more in a sense like, oh, all right, like I can do that when I do this, and the more I see other people and the more crowds I get to play in front of, the happier I am. So limiting myself, I felt a while ago, was literally just that, limiting myself. So I try my hardest to like infiltrate different groups of people and just, kind of break down barriers. And I've had relatively good success in taking people from what I used to call the National League and the American League in the city and putting them together. You know what I mean? Like these two dudes would never talk, but you know what? I'm going to book them back to back, and I'm going to give them each other's numbers and let them talk about the night. And
Nice.
now they're friends. Now they work together. So I think that's important in a small city like ours.
I honestly feel like sometimes the politics of the venues get more in the way of the people than the people do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if you play at these places,
I hear that
you can't play at these places. If you play over here, you can't play over there. So it's like I was saying earlier with like that small pocket of clubs. It's like
pick a side, man. I'm just I'm a freelance worker, bro.
It's like Big Night has their guys and they use all their guys, and then like Pasha has their guys and they use their guys, and then like being at Royale, it's like I can't go across the street. You know what I mean? And I can't play across the street because it's politics of like, well, if people like hearing you over here and then they come here and the DJ's trash and you're across the street, it's easy for them to get out and go across the street to see you. So you can't give them that option on a Saturday night. So it's like, they
should pay you more to stick around.
There you go. They got
to pay us more.
Kind of commitment.
You know.
You really want to pay me more.
But it's still it's just the politics of it, because it's like you just as a DJ and having love, like when I do my schedule, I love playing different places. So like I like playing at the Liberty because it's like a little bit you can start the night with some throwbacks, some really old school stuff there, and because a lot of people will be sitting down in the beginning and they're just vibing out. And then like I'll go into a spot like Bodega where I'm playing like every Ja Rule and Ashanti track that I have for the first hour and a half. And that's different. You know what I mean? Like that's a vibe you can rock with that you don't really get many places in the city. And then you go to a place like Royale where you're literally just driving them into the ground until hopefully they never get there. But you know what I mean? It's like that high energy. And it's definitely fun to be able to play a lot of different places. But there are a lot of, like I said, the venues kind of draw some lines that people don't actually draw. You know what I mean? It's like I see guys at Venue and at Icon that are definitely talented enough to play at maybe even a Royale. But it's like you're on the other side of that fence, just like I'm on the other side of the fence of like I can't play over there. You know what I mean? It's like it's a politics game on the other end too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bobby, what do you say? Round us out.
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, Josh is kind of introducing me to a couple faces in this room. So, he's definitely staying true to his word in terms of, him trying to, just kind of be a free agent and get in where, things make sense for him, not necessarily aligning with any particular clique. So RM has been here for some time. I think he's been here for definitely over a decade or around that time. I've never actually met RM, but we've played in the same we play the same venue, JD as well. So I try my best to not align myself with any particular venue politics, and in terms of the Boston DJ scene, I think it's kind of interesting right now because we're literally just coming off of a pandemic, so
Right.
going into starting to, when I got the text May 29th that okay, hey, it's time to go, my mind was definitely wrapped up in creating DJ sets and actually feeling what the environment and the climate of a post-pandemic DJ world. So previous to that, I was happy in terms of meeting people and getting out and being present on the scene, and I do feel like it is a very much growing scene, and we have some heavy hitters here, and I think it's a dope scene to be on. Just like any other scene, if you're not willing to do the work and go out there and perform and introduce yourself to people and link up with other DJs and rock out, then you're going to feel like there is no DJ scene here, or there is like a lack of certain things. But I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's dope.
I think one thing is like it's like being at a job where a lot of the positions are filled above you,
right,
to a certain degree. So it's like, for me to play a spot that just throwing out an example, like if Josh is running Saturday night and Josh is playing every Saturday night, for me to play Saturday night at this place, Josh can't be playing there for that night. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost to the point sometimes where it's like, all right, you have these cliques and you have these groups and they have their people and everyone knows who the people are like in the certain spots. And it's like, I can definitely see how it can be overwhelming for somebody starting out to be like, how am I going to get a slot over one of these guys?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, I can definitely see how so it takes a lot of work, and the people that you can tell almost immediately, the people that are going to be around for a while and the people that are going to fizzle out real fast. You can tell like almost within one conversation, and it's always the people that give a shit about, the people that really genuinely give a shit, that care about what they're doing. Yeah, like I've met a couple of DJs on like before the pandemic, like DJ Revis is one I can shout out for sure. That like
shout out Revis for sure.
Young kid opened for me once, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm like, you're gonna be great, and he was like so overwhelmed with like, you know what I mean, just like happy with the compliment, and I'm like, yo, you asked all the right questions when you already did all the right things. Because you care, you want to make sure you're doing it right. The next time every time I saw him after that, improved so much. You know what I mean? And it's like you see the people that are in it for the music. Now he's on the Club Killers team. He's one of the people making their edits. He joined them during the pandemic. So it's like you knew he had the talent from the get go just because he gave a shit. You know what I'm saying? So and then on the other end of that, you see the guys that come in with the controller, that bought the controller and the two speakers on American Musical, and it's on their credit card, and they're going to make the payment every month. And now they like just started, and they think that they should be in the club because they downloaded Mo Bamba and they downloaded, you know what I mean, like a couple of these songs. So
hey, if it worked for Josh when he had only 30 records, it works today, right?
Somebody had to take that off.
You're
clarification, it didn't work.
There's a radio ad in the middle of the song. They didn't even realize it was there.
Oh man!
It's like you see the guys that'll fizzle out, and it's when you find one or two of them, you know what I mean? Because as big as Boston is, it is still small, and the cliques are still small, and everybody knows each other. So it's like when you find a couple of those guys, and you're like, damn, these guys are going to do well. It's kind of exciting on that end, too, to be like, yo, I know when I'm gone, he's still going to be. You know what I mean?
Oh, and you also, it's also good to surround yourself with guys that you can build with, rely on, even if it's like, hey, I need a night off tonight. They're going to come in and do a great job for you, but not try to take your job in a way of like, hey, I can come do this gig for $250 less every week. Like people that actually respect your gig will go in knowing that they're just coming there for that one night and then keep it moving. You said Revis, and I want to know, like, we kind of want to know, each of you give us a name of like an up and coming guy that you like, and then maybe like somebody that we haven't mentioned tonight that is definitely like a dope Boston DJ that people should know about and people should check about. Yeah, exactly. So RM, you said Revis so far, like a younger cat.
I'll give a one vet that I definitely think, I won't say he flies under the radar because he definitely is pretty much everywhere that he could possibly be in the city. But DJ Case is definitely a guy that, he was on Amp Radio. When I first started out.
How do you spell it?
Kcase.
Got it.
When I first started out, I remember I met him at Tunnel, and
it's CASE.
I was just there with somebody else, and I got his contact, we exchanged info, I sent him a couple edits, and he ended up like having me open for him, and that was the first time that I ever DJ'd in the city. And he heard me play, we played back to back, and then like from there, opening doors is expensive. You know what I mean? People don't realize if somebody gives you an opportunity, that's expensive. You know what I mean? That's very, very valuable. So
of course,
he opened so many doors by like. I met Jeff through him. You know what I mean? Like, just be like, hey, come open for me at Care. You're really good. I want them to hear you. And the only way they're going to hear me is if I'm there.
Yeah.
And so it's like if it's not for him giving me the opportunity at a lot of these places, and yeah, definitely, like obviously my ability kept it going. But it's like I said, the getting the foot in the door is so much harder than some people realize. And he did that for me at a lot of places, and I learned. I wouldn't be the DJ I was today if it wasn't for him. I learned so much from him, and I feel like we learn a lot from each other. And he's just super talented. I feel like you know what I mean? He definitely doesn't fly under the radar, but he's like, he's a dude that you could put him in any room in the city, and he's going to do well.
So
hip hop, high energy, you know what I mean? Like he can play any room in the city.
JD, who do you got?
Well, I gotta give much respect to Val Beats, who put me on in Boston back in the day.
Wow, just the Val Beats.
Yeah, Val Beats picking the streets. So shout out to Val. As far as big DJs in Boston, obviously Buddy Costa was supposed to be on tonight. Couldn't make it on, but definitely shout out to him. Vinny Vibe. But up and comers, I'd say Caitlin is definitely DJ. Caitlin is a up and comer. She was one of my former Berkeley students. Red Wave is definitely making some noise out there as well. Revis, like RM said, is definitely dope. So those are the ones I'd be on the lookout for.
Bobby, who you got?
I got a couple. I got on the up and coming side, DJ Sunray. I think he's real cool, down to earth, dedicated person. He has a few edits on SoundCloud you can check out. As well as Sounds by Frasier. She's actually one of my students. I took it in 2018. Okay. She's really dope. And my guy DJ Bassy B, he does a lot of vinyl sets, and he's definitely someone that is going to be a little bit more present on the scene. And also in terms of people that are here, I'm definitely going to shout out my man DJ Real P and the Super Smash Brothers. So I think the Super Smash Brothers are two people. That's a unit, it's a duo. And DJ Real P is one person, but they've been putting in some work and doing some dope things.
Dope. Joshua, what you got?
Man, this is a loaded question. I'll co-sign with Bobby. Sunray is a really good dude. And this is a kind of a funny, weird little fact. He's one of the first He's the first and last dude that I ever just took my headphones and handed it to him and just walked away and said, "Yeah, play some songs." It was slow. There was nobody there. This dude came into my venue and just chilled and watched and like RM said earlier, asked the right questions. Super humble. Super. This dude's got so much positivity coming out of him, man. Like he's just a super nice guy. So I was just like, you know what? There's nobody here. And here, have fun. And and he was just like, "What?" I'm like, "Go for it, dude. Like, who cares, man?" And yeah, super nice guy. Also, we're not like super tight, but the dude that I always catch and my hair just goes straight back is Slipwax. That dude is an absolute beast. And anytime I see what he puts up online, I'm just like, definitely in the turntablist clique. He's part of Table Manners, those guys. But man, dude's an absolute beast. There's guys that I use too, like Pete. Pete's an amazing DJ. I love using Pete up here. Bobby and RM as well. Stevie B is one of my good friends from Vermont. I use him all the time. DJ Kennedy from Connecticut as well, plays at like Mohegan quite a bit. I use him quite a bit. DJ Eloy from New York.
Right?
That's Eloy.
So yeah, so that's my boy. So you guys, I don't know if you guys ever saw it. Eloy and I had a show together for years on Remix Report, actually, on JD's show.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. yes, you're taking us back.
Video report.
Yes.
Video report.
Yes, that's a
Taking us
flashback.
back.
Yeah, 2009-ish.
That's how
So yeah,
first started following you, Josh.
Early YouTube days. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah.
So, Jeff, round us out.
Well, in Boston, it's too big of a question, I'd offend 1 million people because there's 1 million DJs.
That's why I let you go last. I thought I'd give you the time to like maneuver your way to this loaded question. No,
I would. I think there's so many people that are talented. I think as we go back to the previous question about, there's so many nights where I see DJs come and just the night off or off night and they're just hanging with the DJ booth, doing their thing. I think it's so great that, again, 1 million people are all friends. But there's so many different rooms that people really fit in. And, whether it's the small venue, the hip-hop venue, big house room or anything like that, there's so many talented people. And I think people are feeding off each other. There's so much talent in Boston. And I think also with the talent comes people trying to be better, trying to get it to the next level.
Right.
Obviously, now is over at Big Night, there's a lot of talented people over there. I do the podcast with Jason Smith, one of my favorite DJs. Up and coming, there are so many people. Recently, I think in the past couple of years, I might be wrong about this, but in the past couple of years, I think Cisco has really taken it to the next level.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's everywhere now, and I think he's done a great job. But I think everybody, I can't name all.
Well, you said it. You said it well. We're not going to put you on the hot seat, especially since you got a lot going on. And
I just don't want my phone. It's 11 o'clock.
He answered that question like Belichick.
Yeah,
he answered that question like Belichick. He just dodged it.
Exactly.
We're on to the next one.
Yeah.
Spoken like an OG. And I definitely, shout out to Pete Down in the chat. Yeah, that's a DJ that I don't know personally, but I have so many of his edits in my Serato, and
100%.
so much respect, man. Keep doing it for us.
Coming, man.
This has been great though. I think it's been awesome to have you guys here talking about the city. It's definitely a city that I love. I'm going to be up there a bunch in the next year for some different stuff. So I'm going to be coming to try to check you guys out, hang out. Give us, we're just going to run around. We want you guys before we take off and raid somebody else. And you guys also think about someone, maybe Josh, think about someone we should raid after this that might be a crew for you guys.
Audio One's first time DJing since his stroke.
Oh,
No
shit.
way. Wow. That's
great.
That's
dope.
We're in
there. We go. Thank you.
You guys in the chat, hang around for that. Do not leave.
Absolutely. Let's pay respect to the mayor of the DJ world, man. That's one of the
DJ Twitch.
That's
shouts to the homie Audio One, man.
But give us something. Let us know what you're doing. Just give us something that you want to tell everybody, and then maybe something about Boston that you think people should know that they don't know. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be DJ related. Just give us. Bobby, we'll start with you. Just give us I know you said where you were playing, but just remind us where people can find you, and give us a little fact.
Yeah, plug it out. Plug it out.
All right, cool. You can catch me at Liberty Hotel. We'll soon be having, I think maybe next month we'll be starting like First Fridays over there. So I'm there a couple times throughout the month, but more specifically August First Fridays on Liberty Hotel. On Thursdays throughout the summer, I work with a dispensary called Revolutionary Clinics. One of the biggest dispensaries in Massachusetts, maybe New England. Please don't quote me on that. And we'll be doing some in-store stuff we were doing a stream, but pandemic's over. It's hot out. Everyone wants to be outside. Mm-hmm. We will be doing some in-stores on Thursdays, as well as I'm part of a DJ septet called Harbinger. Harbinger was an event that took place this past in January of 2019, which is 7 DJs. Slipwax is one of those DJs that Josh just mentioned, led by DJ Rob Swift, and it
Brolic Army. That's why your arms are so big, bro. You swole over there too.
Yeah, it can't get too big, man. It can't reach around the back.
Yeah.
So
feel that. I'm with that.
Yeah, DJ Rob Swift led that, and that was under MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
That's right.
And yeah, you'll catch me dropping some routines and some videos. I'm actually dropping an edit in a couple days. Snow Allegra dropped her song "Whoa" in December of 2019, and I feel like it was a real great R&B song that did not get to see. We didn't even get to play it this summer. So I don't know if you guys have checked it out. If not, check out Snow Allegra, and I'm going to be dropping an edit on that in a couple of days. So check for that.
Dope. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Bobby.
Thanks
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys.
RM.
Well, my quote-unquote main residency is Royale. I try to frequent as many spots as I can in the city. Right now, obviously, with things just opening up, in my residency in the Cape, I've been so busy between that and a lot of other things that I haven't been able to lock down too many of the other spots. But, hopefully with Tavern opening up, I'm sure I'll be in there shortly. I got nights at Bodega coming up, Water Club in Quincy. That's a nice spot. And yeah, my Instagram's at DJ__RM. So I always post my stuff on there where I'm going to be every weekend, and if anyone's ever in the city and they want to come out and have a good time, look me up.
Word up.
Do it. Sir.
Our special guest host, thank you again, JD. You're the man stepping in for us. Give us a little closing.
Yeah, you catch me at Shrine at Foxwoods, 2 hours south of Boston all the time. I'll be up in Boston a bunch, though, at all our big night spots. I'll be at Memoir on July 23rd over at the Encore in Revere, so definitely check that out. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the club gigs are on the wayside now with all the weddings and all that stuff coming through. So, trying to make that wedding money, fill in that club money.
Wedding money's different, I guess.
Yeah, man. I see your stuff. You got some nice events going on.
Shout out to Dawson Entertainment.
Dawson Entertainment on IG.
Yeah. Check that out at Dawson Entertainment. Check me out the club side of things at The Real DJ JD. Yeah.
Awesome. Joshua.
Let's see. Starting off, I'm playing with G Love from G Love and Special Sauce Tuesday.
I was just gonna say.
Nice.
And then I have my normal cycle. I generally DJ every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, occasionally Sunday, in the circle of residencies that I have. So I basically have these 8 venues or 8 slots, and I kind of pick what I want, and then I fill in. RM will hook me up down in Torino, and some other people will hook me up some other spots, and I have a monthly residency at Down. So I'm always working and it's usually that open format kind of like drunk vibe, which some days I hate it, some days I love it, but it's where I'm fitting in right now. So, and of course Twitch, I am on the road for 3K followers. I am about 50 short. So if you guys don't follow me on Twitch, if one of you guys could throw a link in the thing here. That's why my lights have been going. I don't know if you guys saw that. Anytime somebody follows me, my lights start flashing and shit.
Damn, you just getting followers.
Wow, you are
Yeah.
very impressive with your setup over there.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
For real.
I saw Josh's setup during the pandemic, and I didn't even try. I was just like, no.
Well, I
don't want to come in second. So if that's what I have to compete with, I don't even want to play.
Well, we bought the house and it had a studio in it, and I'm like, what else am I gonna do besides, like it's where I practice and everything. And then I had been streaming actually like way back in 2010 from clubs, and then I'm like, well, I can definitely do this from here. And then it just kept building and building and building. I learned OBS, got invited to the OBS beta, and then started like giving and taking on plugins and stuff. So like it just took off from there. So yeah, other than that, man, just living the life of Riley.
No doubt.
Nice. And
amazing.
And Jeff.
You can find me on Jeff London _ on most social media. And then we have the podcast. I'm the promoter. He's the DJ.
Yeah, we got to check that out.
Oh, wow.
It's good. Yeah, we get some good segments. There's a segment called Story Time with Uncle Jeff. And I don't reveal the name of the celebrity that I deal with. There's enough hints that you guess who it is. And there's some really funny stories.
I like the Yelp reviews.
I do, yeah. If you guys ever know, you guys know this, that any club in the entire world has a 2-star or under Yelp review. It's just how it is. So these Yelp reviews are unbelievable because you get denied from a club. You rate a 1-star review. You're hammered and you couldn't get in. You go right on Yelp and write reviews. So I read them out loud on the podcast. They're fascinating. It's hysterical. Yeah.
Takes a special kind of person to leave a Yelp review.
Yeah.
They're always so happy.
They had a timestamp on them because they got to be at like 3:30 in the morning. Like
they got like profile pictures. They've been famous everywhere else.
Yeah. So so check the podcast out. It's hilarious. You can find me at all the big night events. And something about Boston. People think it's just a major sports town, which we didn't get into because that would be like a 5-hour show. But the diversity of Boston, I think, you could go up the street, see RM at his residency, hear a dope, like high energy thing. You could go 4 streets over if Bobby's over at Saigon playing the mix, hip hop, and sometimes they have different nights over there. You can, or you go to big night. It's the diversity. Josh sit down, do rocking some bars. The diversity of music is pretty. It's a pretty awesome city. Born and raised. It's an amazing city, and it's a growing city, and I love Boston.
and happy birthday to Jeff. Everybody.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
He can
21 times 2.
He can finally rent a car. He's old enough to
have insurance.
Awesome, guys. Well, it's that time to end the show. So once again, give it up one more time for our special guests, DJ Josh Carl, Jeff London, DJ RM, Bobby Bangers, and of course our guest co-host DJ JD. Thank you again for coming through.
Thank you.
As always, to everybody tuning in to our show on Twitch, please stay in the chat. We're gonna pay it forward and raid into Audio One's channel. His first time DJing back, so that's gonna be awesome. So basically, stay put in the chat. Again, if you missed any of our episodes, you can watch our past shows on Facebook.com/BeatRefinery or YouTube.com/BeatRefinery. And again, if you prefer to listen to the audio side of things, make sure to listen. Look for it on Thursday. We usually upload every Thursday to Apple, Spotify, wherever you consume and listen to all things podcast. So make sure to click like, comment, subscribe. Next episode of the 9 at 9 will be back next month, but come back again to the Beat Refinery channel. We we usually do a lot of our live shows. Either we do our Hall Pass Mondays or our live music playlist shows, and that's every Monday, 9 p.m. East Coast time. So everybody tune in for that, twitch.tv/BeatRefinery. So thanks again to everybody for tuning in, from all of us to everybody just tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Again, everybody, say peace. We're gonna raid into Audio One, so make sure to stay put.
Yes.
Peace. Show some love for Audio One, man.
Definitely show some love. Make sure to let everybody know you guys are coming from the Beat Refinery channel. So post up those emotes. Post up those Audio One emotes too. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, he's got the new partner emotes, the animated ones as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dope. It's really fresh.
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
you guys.
Have we rated over yet?
Amazing for coming through.
No, we're still here. We're still here.
Well, we're going to be in this studio.
Just about to
Even if we raid over.
I'm watching on Twitch too.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're still here. We're still here. We're still here.
I'll be right back.
That is